Hi, Captain Steve from BoatTEST.com, and today I am on the 27 Tournament, a luxury fishing boat from Eastern Boats, and it's pretty nicely laid out. So come on aboard as I do a full features inspection and performance evaluation. The Eastern 27 Tournament has a length overall of 27 feet 4 inches, a beam of 10 feet 3 inches, and a draft of 28 inches. With an empty weight of 8,000 pounds, 42% fuel, and 3 people on board, we had an estimated test weight of 9,085 pounds. With the twin Suzuki 200s turning 14 1/4 by 18 1/2 props and run up to 6150 RPM, our speed topped out at 41.9 miles per hour. Best cruise came in at 3500 RPM and 20.9 miles per hour. It was at that speed that the combined 10.1 gallon per hour fuel burn translated into 2.1 miles per gallon in a range of 335 statute miles, all while still holding back a 10% reserve of the boat's 180 gallon total fuel capacity. In acceleration tests, we reached planing speed in an average 3.8 seconds, cruised through 20 miles per hour in 5.3, and passed 30 in 7.8 seconds. I like everything about this boat's handling characteristics. It's such a fun boat to drive, and it's an excellent family boat. As a fishing boat, certainly well laid out. I would take this offshore in a heartbeat. As far as the handling characteristics go, you're going to want to come up on plane, bring the engine trim up to about halfway on the gauge. Once you get there, you're going to be in your proper running attitude. She picks up speed and becomes a lot more easily handled. Even though she was easy to handle before that, you can just feel everything come together once you get that trim up at about halfway. Trim tabs, I only found the need to use those for an uneven distribution of weight. If we have somebody moving back and forth from one side to the other, she'll lean a little bit to the heavy side, so you just bring the trim tab to get that boat leveled out a little bit more, and then you're fine. She tends to turn at a relatively level attitude, and she tends to lose a good amount of speed in the turn. Let it. Don't add throttle to keep that speed up in the turn. Make the turn more comfortable that way. And because she's level, you'll find yourself bracing rather than getting pushed to the outside of the turn. So go ahead and let the speed bleed off a little bit, and it makes it a little more comfortable that way. Once you get out of the turn, speed comes right back up again, and you're good to go in the other direction. It's a great boat to drive. I really had a lot of fun on this. Now, the thing about Eastern boats is that they have a utilitarian quality to them. They're work boats. Like right here, you can see bare fiberglass. Typically, you'll see that on the overhead, but we can get a padded overhead as well. But the point being, utility. They're made to be worked, and worked hard. Now, it's those working class features that give Eastern boats its almost cult-like following. And it's what also makes this an ideal fishing boat. Let's look at the fishing features, starting in the cockpit. We have to start with the roominess of this cockpit. From this position right to here, 5 feet 6 inches, and from side to side, 8 feet 4 inches. The cap rails top out at a safe 24 inches, and this Raptor decking, that is standard on these boats. The entire deck is self-draining. There are large scuppers out the back, so all the water that might get shipped over will be shipped right back on overboard. And then in the center of the deck, take a look at this, an insulated fish box. There are 3 rod holders to each side. 2 of them to each side are also beverage holders. There's another rod holder at the transom cap rail, 5 rocket launcher style rod holders at the trailing edge of the hardtop. Forward and to port, bit of a workstation, nice cutting surface, and underneath, a live well. When it comes time to clean up this work surface, there's a raw water washdown right underneath the port cap rail. Ahead at the starboard, there's tackle storage along with lure tubes. And of course, we've got storage compartments at the stern and then just under the live well. Now, the utilitarian aspect comes into play with the easy accessibility of the mechanical components. And I'm talking about a battery switch right where it belongs. You don't have to go hunting for it. There it is right there. It doesn't need to be hidden or locked away. Just ahead, fuel filters, easily accessed. Right underneath my feet, easy access to the batteries and the through hull fittings. The engines are mounted to a bracket that comes out 2 feet 3 inches from the transom. There's a reboarding ladder over to the port hand side, and it's all treated with non-skid. Engine choices are going to be either twin 150s or 200s. Pick the brand of your choice, and you can go with either mechanical steering or electronic. The boat's fitted with 10-inch cleats, 6 of them, 3 on each side, including midship cleats. Now, of course, we can add deck chairs to this area and make it more of a social zone, and in that case, we might want to add a little bit of protection so we can have either a bimini top here or a pop-up sunshade that is supported by carbon stanchions at the stern. The bow isn't made to be a social zone, it's more of a working area, so 8 inches to the side decks is plenty. For safety, we've got rails going across the top of the cabin, and then the bow rails come up 23 inches. Additional rails are on top of the trunk cabin, and then fully forward, a standard Lumar windlass will be handling the ground tackle. Notice also how the decking comes up as we move forward. Not only does that give us more room inside, but it also provides the dry ride that Eastern boats are so well known for. That coupled with the way that the chines come up and form a spray rail. We move inside by an 8-inch step. Overhead clearance 6 feet 4 inches. We've got a bit of a galley over to the starboard side with a recessed stainless steel sink and the Korean counter. Underneath is drawer storage and then refrigeration. Over to the port hand side, there's a bench seat with a table in front of it. The table gets dedicated storage underneath the seat. Continuing forward, we've got seats to both port and starboard, of course being the helm seat. This one, 43 inches, made by LCI, has adjustable seat back and flip armrests. I appreciate that there's a footrest underneath the seats. There's a storage area to the port hand side, and then a trash receptacle. Also notice that we have opening windows both forward and aft, as well as opening windshields, and this is in case we don't want to use the optional 110-volt heater or air conditioner into the overhead. And notice there are also LED lights, the center ones being dimmable, and they will also switch from white to red. In the event that we'd like to climate control this pilot house, we have drop-down aft curtains. The helm is elegant in its simplicity. It's a small console mounted over to the starboard side. There's a compass directly on top of the console, room for a 16-inch display, dual engine displays, the Optimus display, joystick, optional bow thruster, trim tabs, digital engine controls with the start stops just ahead along with the ignition. Steering wheel is mounted vertically, windshield wiper controls, always happy to see those, and then there's electrical switching to the back side of the console as well as to the sides. And notice that we can open up the console for easy installations. Now we also have cabin class comfort on this boat. It's accessed from a door to the port hand side just ahead of the observer seats. With this side entry, there are steps that come down at an angle, and I like that. It gives us a little more room once we're inside, and then just ahead, there's shelf space with hanging storage underneath, and I like that there are nice wood fiddles going around this shelf. There's sapele wood on top of the padded bolsters. Pedestal table adds nice atmosphere, makes this into a small dining area. The headroom here, 6 feet, and again, notice the utilitarian feel. Just fiberglass all around. It doesn't need to be fancy. That's not what Eastern boats are about. They certainly can be, but that begs the question, why? Got opening ports to both the port side, one over to the starboard side. There's an overhead hatch, all adding natural light and ventilation. The road locker is just forward, and just in front of the road locker on a swing pedestal, it's a 15-inch TV. We have a head compartment over to the starboard side, solid wood door. There's a Korean counter with a sink recessed into the counter. An opening port adds ventilation. It's an electric flush toilet. There's plenty of storage going around, and there's also a compartment with a pull-out sprayer so we can utilize this as a wet head. Now, one other feature that I find surprising is that there's also room for a mid-cabin. It's tucked right underneath here. This berth measures 82 inches front to rear. The width goes from 46 inches at the head to 32 inches at the feet. Overhead clearance is 21 inches. So even though we still have a utilitarian quality to this boat, it's nicely tricked out, and there are still additional features that we can have added to this boat. A Seakeeper gyro, additional LED lighting, generators. We can even convert this over to a family functional boat. Let me show you what I mean by that. This is the 27 Islander version, and it comes with this 58-inch bench seat against the transom. The live well has been removed, and now you've got a cooler with a cushion on top of it, and that opens up the bench seat just ahead of that, and there's a new style pedestal table. Notice also that the entry to the cabin has been moved to the center. This makes it much easier to access. It's a direct access instead of going in from the side. We can also hand gears straight down in there, and frankly, from my point of view, it's easier to see the kids when they're down there. I've used the word utilitarian a lot throughout this video, but to me that word translates into low maintenance and easy to clean. And those are quality features that should go into any boat, let alone a boat that's going to be used for fishing and family fun. And that's my full features inspection and performance evaluation of the 27 tournament from Eastern Boat Works. For BoatTEST.com, I'm Captain Steve. We'll see you on the water.